Hello and welcome back to the Yarn Hoarder's Crafting Podcast. My name is Sasha and I'm coming to you today from a sunny and warm town just outside of Birmingham in the West Midlands here in the UK. It is the 23rd of July and it is 3:15. So today I have one finished object and 3 whips to talk about. Unfortunately, all 3 of the whips are quite boring, even though 2 of them are new cast-ons. But yeah, I'm thinking this will probably be a relatively short episode this week, and you'll see why in a bit. So no, I have 4 whips because I've got one sat right behind you. So now that I've corrected that mistake, should we talk about the finished object? And it'll probably come as a surprise to absolutely no one what this is. Look, it's finished. It's so cute. So this is the Sheepish Little Sweater by Melissa Camera. And this is the 6 to 12 month size, and it is the second of a matching set. So we have both of them now finished, ready to be sent off. So I folded up the wrong one. So the yarns I used for this they're all Yarnsmith's Create Aran, which is a wonderfully squeaky 100% Aran, 100% acrylic yarn. And I used the colours Pale Lilac, Off-White, Black and Grass Green. As I said, I made the 6 to 12 month size and the 6-year size. And because I'm sure somebody is curious, let's turn this inside out to make it easier. There are my floats. Please excuse this side, this is where all the ends are woven in, so. But, yeah. And with this one, with the smaller size, I made a decision that was kind of painful, but I think is better. Because this one's for like a baby, and there's colour work on the cuffs. I was worried that my usual technique for catching floats wasn't going to cut it. I tend to catch my floats every sort of 5 stitches, which on an Aran weight jumper is quite... is that much, which for a baby I thought might be... I didn't want to risk little fingers being caught and snagged and potentially pulled back when the jumper was being put on. So for the colour work on the sleeve, I caught it every single stitch. I wrapped every single stitch to try and make sure not to end up with little fingers getting caught and injured. Which, across this sleeve, so the sleeve is 26 stitches at the cuff, where the colour work is. And doing it on magic loop, catching it, this floats, catching it every single round. So from the underarm to there, took the same amount of time as doing the 15-row colourwork charts because of constantly catching and pulling and making sure it wasn't tangled and making sure every last stitch was caught twice. Was it worth it? Yes. Hopefully that little detail will be appreciated. Finished. As far as I know, I have finished this before the baby is born. She is due any day now, but because it's a sweater, it's a winter garment, hence making it a 6 to 12 month size so she can wear it during the colder season. So we are now just eagerly awaiting the news of the birth. So, and now we shall go on to whips. And I'm going to start with this whip. And the reason is I want to kill two birds with one stone, because the yarn in here is the leftovers from what I am wearing. So we'll start with what I'm wearing. This is a Tolsta tank. The pattern is by Rebecca Clow. This one's a DK weight version. There's also a fingering version. I did the F cup modification and the I think this is the vest neck option, so just like a basic classic round neck. There is also a square neck and a cami option. And the yarns I used for this are, the main colour is this, which is Juniper Moon Farm Findley DK Dappled, which is a discontinued yarn. And the contrast, which I used for the stripe over the bust and all of the ribbing edges, is the Woolly Tangle in Vidigerous Blue. Both of these are a 50-50 merino silk blend. And I think this has turned out quite nicely. I've only just blocked it. It came off the blocking mats this morning. And I quite like it. I think it's a good size. It's loose enough, although slightly looser than intended. I think that's just when I blocked it a little bit too aggressively. But I think it looks good. We shall see. I don't know how much use I'm going to get out of this one, given this is a DK weight version, but we shall see. And then with the leftovers of this yarn, because I had about 90 grams of yarn left, I am making a little triangle scarf. I'm not following a pattern for this. I've kind of made it up. As I said last week, it's, I guess, loosely based off the Sophie scarf, but it's not going to get smaller at the other end. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger until I run out of yarn. So there we go. I have 2 full repeats of the stripe plus 1 row left of the start of the first colour of the third section. So I'm just doing sort of a applied I-cord as I go along. I also did an I-cord cast on type thing. However, at one point, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, I forgot to slip the stitches and just knit all the way across the row. However, I didn't notice that until I was up on this section last night. So this side of the I-cord has a couple of random purl stitches in it. And yeah, I'm not ripping it all the way back. Not happening. Not happening. So, and I don't know how to like, I don't really know if you can just like unpick all the way down the I-cord. I don't know if that's a thing, so it's fine. It doesn't need to be perfect, it's only for me. So, but I am loving this. It's just basically a simple knit that I can just pick up and put down in the evenings. I was here last week, so I've done, 2 stripes basically. And it's just gonna grow and grow and grow until I basically run out of yarn. Because as I mentioned last week, this is such a nice yarn, I didn't want to just let it sit in my scrap drawer, not being used and just being thrown into any old project. I think some yarns do deserve their own project, even if it's a scrap project. So I will probably have a small amount of each of these left, or maybe even a small amount of just the one. In that instance, yes, I'll just pop that in the scrap drawer to go into a basket or something later on. But given I had probably about 40 to 45 grams of each left, it seemed a waste to not use it for its own project. So, whip number 1. Whip number 2, the one I forgot about. So this hasn't seen tons of progress, mostly because I focused on getting this finished. So it's seen a little bit. I was there last time you saw it, so I've done maybe 3/4 of an inch, maybe not even that. But this is my Carlisle raglan, which is patterned by Maddie Mo. The yarn I am using is this, which is by Mothy and the Squid in the colourway Purple Orchid. And I am still just on the raglan. I'm going to be here for a while. I do now need to move on to a better cord, which, having now finished this, which had my decent cord on it, I'm going to move this over to the better cord, which should help this project go a little bit more smoothly. I can hope. So, not tons to say at this at the moment. It's just in the raglan stage on the yoke. It's a 3x1 rib for the body and stockinette for the sleeves, with a rib detail across the actual raglan lines, with a 1x1 doubled collar. And yeah, like I don't really know what to say about this at the moment. I've done so little on it. I think I'm about just over halfway through the first section of raglan increases. So maybe I can get some more of this done over the weekend. We shall see. I'll get to why that's not likely later, but there's going to be a cut because I'm going to move the camera, because I don't think you want to get motion sick. There we go, that's better. Sorry, I've kind of leant against the wall and you seemed very far away, so if you're a bit too close, I'm sorry. So my next 2 whips are 2 new cast-ons, and they're nothing exciting. So I'm going on holiday on Monday. So you're not going to have a video for 2 weeks after this, unless I can somehow get another video recorded between now and then, which isn't looking likely. But I'm going to be away. Because of how long we're going for and what's happening on this trip, I made the decision to have 2 projects to take with me. They're both socks. They're both small, easy projects, but they're different yarns. So, you know, because of the different yarns, so like, if I'm getting bored of the one, I can like get the other one out, which is a different colour, which should help the interest. And my hair is just not cooperating today. It's either messy in the way or like flat and egg-like. So I can't win today. But yeah. So they're not exciting. They are both small whips at the moment. I will start with this one in my West Knits bag. It says "Keep on knitting, kitten." And for this, I am using Opal Finet Merino Wool. And anybody who speaks German, I'm sorry. I took a German. Was it German? I think I took one German class in high school. Yeah, like I think I literally had one lesson, and then I got switched over to Spanish. And no, my Spanish is no better than my German. Yeah, unless you want me to say, is it café con leche, por favor? And I think por favor is actually French. Languages are not my strong suit. I am going way off topic. So, this is Opal Merino sock wool. This feels really nice. This doesn't feel like the typical Opal. I find Opal has a bit of a toothy feel to it, which I like. I think that's sturdier for socks. This feels very, very soft. And my partner, so these are socks from my partner. My partner picked these out last year from Wonderwool. I'm finally getting around to knitting them. This year's Opal yarn from Wonderwool is currently staring at me on the shelf. So figured I should use last year's first. But I've started the sock. I have finished the cuff and started the stockinette. I just wanted to get it set up and established into the stockinette. Mostly because I don't want to be doing ribbing on the plane. I'd rather just be sat there, probably watching a movie, working away on this. So yeah, so this is 72 stitches on a 2.75mm needle, 20 rounds of 2x2 rib, and then there will be 80 rounds of stockinettes. So I should have just about enough to do the entire sock in this. I did weigh it and it was 101 grams, and 100 grams has 425 meters. His socks take anywhere from 90 to 97 grams. So it might be cutting it close. But I don't want to take a contrast colour for the heel with me. It should be fine. It just means I don't have that much scrap left, which is fine. But that is new cast on whip number 1, ready for the trip, which, yeah. Although I say I don't want to be working on this on the plane, I'm not even sure if this is the one I'm going to be working on the plane. I haven't yet decided. But I kind of got them both to that point, spoiler alert, so that I could take either of them. This bag might not be the best for actually on the flight. This might be better to put in my checked luggage with with my snips and other stuff so that I don't get pulled over at security again. So the first time I got on a flight, I went down to Heathrow to go to Canada. Whole other story, we ended up flying to Germany first and then Canada because flights cancelled and all that. But so on the next day, early morning, we got to the airport, we went to go through security, and my bag got flagged. Why? Because not thinking I'd put my snips in my knitting bag, and it was this, I think it was this bag I had, this project bag with me. I just put my snips in it, not thinking, and got pulled aside, and I was just there going, what the? There's no liquids in it, there's nothing that should be things. And then they were like, do you have a blade in your bag? And that's when it clicked. I was like, I've put my knitting snips in my knitting bag. To be honest, didn't matter. It was like, because of the size of the blade and everything. Like, they took some swabs of the bag, you know, procedure, confirmed what it was, and then just went, yeah, you're fine, don't worry about it. But I'm going to make sure not to do that this time, because it'd be nice for me to not get pulled over at security. Every flight, my bag has been flagged for something. So there was the snips. The one day it got flagged because of, I had a little bottle of hand sanitizer with me. But when I put it in the thing, my handbag had shifted and covered it. So when they looked in the thing, they couldn't see it. So they thought it was in the handbag. They needed permission to go in the handbag. And yeah. As soon as she saw it, she just like went, yeah, go. And there was also another one, but I can't remember what it was for. Rambling here, but other sock project. This one has a bit of a story. So we'll just start with the yarn that I'm using, which is where the story comes in. This is Himalaya socks. Not a brand I've ever heard of before, and not a brand I will be using again. I bought this from the Christmas wool show. No, not Christmas wool show. I bought this from the Christmas craft show at the NEC. Last year. And, well, I had done this one, cast this one on, it had all been good. I was like, I think it was yesterday or Tuesday? Tuesday. And I was like, okay, I've got an hour before I need to start doing dinner, and well, before I need to like start doing the dishes, doing dinner. I tend to do like, I batch tasks together. If everything's like, if I've got like 5 tasks in the kitchen to do, I do them all at the same time. It's just how I do it. I don't go, oh, I'll do the dishes. Oh, I'll wipe the counters down. Oh, I better go get them. I'm just going to do it all in one go. I'm not going to keep going back and forth. It's all being done in one go. But I had an hour before I needed to do that. So I thought, oh, I'll get this cast on and get the first few rounds of rib done. This yarn barfed. I think yarn barf might be a little bit too polite a term for what this did to me. I just pulled out this huge, there's like, I don't have it with me because I put it straight in the scrap drawer once I was done with it, but I ended up having to cut out, basically just cut it. Wound the barf into a ball, but I ended up losing nearly 5 grams of it because it was a tangled, horrid mess. Okay, like, had I bought this from my local yarn shop, I would have taken that back to my local yarn shop to exchange it for a new ball, because that would fail quality control. I will not be buying any of this again, because that's not a good experience to have. Like, I understand occasionally a thing with barf, yarn barf, like, but to the degree this did, that's not acceptable. And then to add insult to injury, I don't like how it's working up. Yes, there is a picture on here that shows you, but it already looks worn. It's already starting to pill. It's already really fluffy. Like, this is not a soft yarn. Like, if this one was a 10 out of 10, this is a 6 out of 10. And it's already gone really fluffy. It's already pilling. I've already had to pick a couple of bobbles off it. And it's just not nice. I don't like it. Now, I could just say, call this a lost cause, unravel this, and just use it for like moraling, or put it into baskets, or even destash it. But I've already cast it on, and I've already got through 15 rounds of 2x2 rib. So we're going to see how this goes. So this is 64 stitches on a 2.5mm needle. I've done 15 rounds of 2x2 rib because I got to the 15 point and went, yeah, that's enough. And I've now started on the stockinettes. I'm not loving it any more than I was in the rib, but I can't really describe why. Like, I like purple. Like, obviously I like purple. My living room is 3 tones of purple. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm determined that this yarn is not going to beat me. Determined. So these won't be really long socks. I think I'll do 50 rounds for the leg before I start the heel. So there's probably about 10 grams of this in the drawer. I've already lost 5 grams of it to the bin. So there's, say, 80 grams, 85 grams here. So I have enough easily to make a whole pair of socks. I could make a long pair of socks for me if I wanted to with 100 grams, or yeah, nearly 100 grams. But I'm just going to make them midi socks. The leftovers can go into my big scrap project that I'm planning for next year. Ow, that was my shoulder. So, don't recommend this yarn. I'm going to continue knitting with it, see how it goes, see if it grows on me, but I'm not going to hold my breath, put it that way. But not every yarn can be a win, and when you take the risk on unknown sock yarn from a brand you've never heard of before, I guess that's the risk you accept. So, and to be honest, that's it this week. Since finishing the little jumper, I've had a bit of a, I guess a little bit of a knitting slump. I've not been feeling overly inspired. I think because it's summer, I want to work on a summer garment. and I don't currently have a summer garment for myself on the needles. However, because I'm going away in a few days, it will be a few days when you see this, I'm just there going, I want to start something new, but I probably shouldn't start a big project right before going away because it's not going to get work done. But I'm thinking when I get back, I'm going to pull out one of my t-shirt quantities and start a summer garment. Is it going to be finished in time for me to wear in the summer? No, because it's fingering weight, but it's what I want to work on. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to make. I could start my skyline tee. I could do a Tolsta, another Tolsta, or another Tolsta. I'm trying to find different t-shirt pattern, honest. I'm not going to just keep resorting to Tolstas. As easy and as nice as they are, I do need to branch out a little bit. But I am going to start a summer garment once I get home. Does that mean a couple of these projects aren't going to get a ton of progress for a little bit? Yes, but it is what it is, you know, so, but yeah, so that's everything for this week. As I said, there's not going to be a video for the next 2 Fridays because I will be away, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get a chance to record another video for you. I was going to do a 12 cast on a 6-month review. However, it's 10 to 4 on Thursday. I need to edit this video to get that out. I have a birthday party to attend tomorrow, which I could attempt to film it before that, but I've also got to get washing done. I've got to pack the suitcases. I've got to dig the suitcases out to start with. I've got a bunch of stuff I have to do on Saturday. And then Sunday is the day before we fly out, and we've got to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive down to Heathrow, so. Does anyone else find that though? Like, the day before you're due to fly out, if you're doing a morning flight, the day before is always like putting the house to rest. Sort of, you know, you clean everything, you know, you mop, you hoover, you clean all the counters, you get everything put away, everything is tidy, you set up all your automations, you make sure everything is where it should be, you know, you put everything into holiday mode. And then you're like, where the hell has this day gone? Because that's what the day before I go away usually is for me. Especially with a trip this long. So, I do have a friend coming over to water the houseplants, but I'm not going to ask them to like, oh, could you just run them up round? Like, they're already, you know, having to drive half an hour out of the way to water the houseplants for us. So, with that, I'm going to stop my ramblings because I don't think anybody needs to hear me rambling. I think I've had enough tangents already today. And with that, I wish you all an amazing summer. If you are in summer, if you're in winter, I'm sorry. But here it is the start of the kids' summer holidays. They broke up last week. So it's well and truly the summer holidays now for us. Not that it matters to me and my partner, we don't have kids, it just means we don't have to worry about school traffic and stuff. But I hope you're all having a wonderful summer. I hope you're all having an amazing week. I wish you all an amazing weekend, and I will catch you all again soon. Bye guys.